And welcome to the Gale Force Winds Talent Stream Edition. I'm Alan Dale, and with me as always, my good buddy from St. John's, Newfoundland, Jerry Carew. How are you, Jerry?
I'm good. I'm not going to take up our time talking about the weather. I really want to just get in and get to know Carolyn Fraser.
Absolutely, Jerry. And on Talent Streams, we showcase talent, and we are certainly excited to have Carolyn Fraser on Gale Force Winds with us today. Carolyn, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hi, guys. Thanks. I'll start off by saying thanks for having me. I'm really looking forward to this. So a bit about me. I was born in Ontario, the third of four children, born into a military family. So with that came somewhat of a atypical, little bit tumultuous at times upbringing. Moved all across Canada, spent some time in Germany. I went to 5 different high schools. So through that and all those experiences, I really think I learned a lot about the world, about different kinds of people, and about, pushing myself out of my comfort zone. Particularly during those teenage years, it's challenging kind of going through always being the new kid. Right. And through that, I really had to connect with people. I had to put myself out of my comfort zone and really make an effort. Otherwise, I was going to be friendless. So I'm really actually looking back grateful for those challenging times because it really made me who I am today. And I'm super grateful for that. So following high school, I graduated in Calgary, and I went on to do a degree in kinesiology at the University of Western Ontario. And, I always had kind of an affinity for health and fitness. I love that. That really spoke to me. My dad is a physician, so a healthy lifestyle was always kind of ingrained in our growing up. But through that university degree, what I gained more from university wasn't the piece of paper at graduation. It was fine-tuning those social skills, meeting people, building a network, building a community, collaborating with people. So the takeaway from that experience was just far greater than any diploma that I got. And then moving out of university, I took on a role with several brands and companies. So I worked with Budweiser, Coca-Cola, several different tech companies on some promotional campaigns, promotional marketing. And I just loved that. I really thrived in that kind of really dynamic, exciting setting. Like every day was different. I was surrounded by really cool people, movers and shakers, and just a variety of different industry. And and then the pandemic hit, and life went on pause for a bit there. But this time has been a real catalyst, I think, for myself and many others to really take pause and kind of reevaluate or evaluate, what they want from life and where they're headed and what's important to them. So I've really just taken this past year to kind of figure out what makes me tick and what I would think I want to do moving forward.
Well, wow, what a journey so far. I want to go back a little bit. So 5 different schools. Yeah. You're right. It's complicated to kind of build a network, and networks, as you say, is very important. How that must have been incredibly challenging. How did you, your interpersonal skills must be over the top.
Yeah, I like to think so. But it was really challenging. There were days where, kids can be cruel. And being the new kid is it's never easy. But I'm a big believer of through kind of adversity and tough times, that's where growth happens. That's where, you become who you are. So I built a lot of character, and I really have an ability now to gain perspective in situations. And I mean, the advantages of that are it's just invaluable to me now.
Carolyn, it's funny, I moved schools once. I was 14. Yeah. And in retrospect now, I think about it, it was the best thing that ever happened to me. Being the new kid, you get bullied a lot. There was all kinds of issues like that. But in retrospect, it prepared me for life. It was a tough lesson. You did that 5 times. So I can imagine the resilience that you have.
Yeah, well, that's exactly it. It prepares you, and it really just thrusts you out of your comfort zone, and it can be tough, but it was worth it in the end, for sure.
Carolyn, how was your time in Europe? That must have been very interesting. It was international school, I'm assuming?
Yeah. So, I spent 2 years in Germany, but I actually went to school in the Netherlands. So we crossed the border each day to go to school at an international school. And it was just nothing short of magical, to be honest. Just a completely different way of life, and just meeting people from all over the world. And you really you gain a real appreciation from where you come from and for other cultures and other types of people.
That's incredible. So, I mean, you've done a lot already. University, I mean, you went through that process. And as you say, so university was a different style of experience for you?
Yeah. So university, I mean, I absolutely loved the whole experience of it. I really did. Throughout university, I also worked in the service industry. So I was a bottle service nightclub attendant, which, as funny as it may sound, really, I took almost the most away from that position. Right. If you're not able to formulate relationships with people and connect, then you're not going to succeed. So, I mean, that was just a fabulous experience. But yeah, it was great. I loved the degree that I got, but I just didn't see myself going down further that pathway.
Yeah, you're right. Sometimes you have to go through the process to try to piece it all together. So, here you are, you've done quite a bit. I mean, clearly you've got all the type of skills that people would want. Where do you see the future? What is it that makes you tick? Why should people pay attention to Carolyn?
Yeah. So I think my main takeaways from kind of this pandemic and taking pause and reflecting on really what I want to do moving forward. I mean, it's such an exciting decade that we're entering now with, I mean, more opportunities than you can shake a stick at, and innovation like we've never seen before. So moving into this decade, I feel that I would be best in a position that is collaborative, is working with people, and really just connecting with my fellow peers, because that's ultimately what I love doing and what I think I really am good at.
Jerry, what are your thoughts?
Well, you know what, Carolyn, you're very, very articulate. Your experience in moving around is, to coin the pandemic term, pivot. I think you're already at a very young age the master of the pivot, which is really important in the workforce.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, what an absolute pleasure it was to have Carolyn Fraser on Gale Force Winds. I mean, you want to talk about perspective and resiliency, an ability to solve problems, and obviously, clearly has honed her interpersonal skills to a level that most could only hope for after an entire professional career. A collaborative young woman. I'd say that Carolyn Fraser is the type of person that you might want on your team. Thanks very much, Carolyn. It was certainly a pleasure to have you on Gale Force Winds.